When it comes to AI, is Hedera really part of that mix? And what about BlackRock recognizing them? Now, in the past, there's been a lot of speculation about Hedera and BlackRock. We're going to bring you some new research to tie in some things that you may not be aware of. So, with that said, without further ado, smash that like if you haven't done so already for myself and Channing. And before we kick it into the outline, check out the Decent Wallet. You can get a significant discount. It helps the channel, and we're going to jump into that here right now. If managing your crypto feels like solving a puzzle, it's time to switch to Decent Wallet. So just a few taps, you can manage, track, and secure your crypto with unmatched ease. And here's the best part. Grab your Decent Wallet at a discounted price by using the referral link below. Don't miss out on making your crypto experience smoother and more secure. All right, welcome back. So with that said, Channing and I have some material that we're going to get into. So let's give you guys some really cool visuals, and shout out to Tokenizer for some of that. What you see right here, again, is some key things. So what we're going to do is recognize that you have some pretty high ranking for Hedera connections, whether it's NVIDIA and Intel, whether it's some of these other ones, BlackRock and Fidelity. And I have a little bit of IIF. But if anything, we're going to kick it over to Channing because he wants to share some key things in regards to what he saw on this list. So would you like me to bring up the list for you
Yeah,
again?
you can bring the list back up. That's fine.
All right. What really caught your attention that you want to go over, that you feel as though it has a lot of significance? I mean, for me, it's NVIDIA and Intel, but there's so much here, right?
Oh my God, brother, it's so much. Like think of it, that first row B, you have Mondelez right there. And understand who Mondelez is. Mondelez and what they're doing. Yes, right now it's just digital coupons, but that's still major. But Mondelez is the parent company for Oreo and Chips Ahoy and so many other huge, like Ritz, so many other huge foods that are staples, that are the brand name in America, and I'm sure globally. Think about that. Also, you go back to the list real fast. You have players like Squeeze It In Some, Wise Key, and SealXQ. Understand what they are doing. They are literally sending satellites into space utilizing pieces of Hedera's technology. They are built on top of Hedera. Think about, as far as that process is concerned, think about that. They are now utilizing the foundation of HBAR in space right now, currently in 2025. Think about that. Shrinking in for a second, brother. You have UDPN, the Universal Digital Payments Network, and understand how many huge conglomerates fall up under that Universal Digital Payments Network. And that is incredible. That's a part of Davos, which is going on right now. Scooch it over a little bit or down a little bit. Who else do we have on here? You have the NSE. That is the Nairobi Security Exchange. They have announced that they are literally putting their security exchange on top of Hedera's technology. Think about that. Think about these huge players that is literally like a stock market being ran on top of an immutable ledger, which is Hedera. Scooch it over a little bit. We had somebody ask about algo on the thing. Like you mentioned, NVIDIA, Intel. Think about it. NVIDIA, up until literally 2, 3 days ago, was the largest AI company in the world. Think about that. Think about it. They had eclipsed Apple's market cap. Think about that. Yes, and now we know the new technology out of China and blah 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 blah. There's still room for everybody. Just know that. And Nvidia ain't going nowhere no time soon. I saw BlackRock on there. You mentioned BlackRock. That is the world's largest asset manager. Over 11 trillion under management. And the thing is even more just total. It's like 30 trillion or something crazy like that. Understand the players that's on this thing. You have MTech. MTech is working with six central banks in Africa, helping them build out their digital currency CBDC. Also built on top of who? Hedera. And to know that this is one DLT and understand that these aren't like little, small entities building on top of Hedera. These are humongous global entities building on top of Hedera. Why? Because they are one of the fastest, one of the most energy efficient, with a set fixed fee in dollars. Understand what that means. That means that if I'm a business and I'm going to be utilizing this technology, I can literally map out a budget because it's not something that's going to fluctuate with the price of crypto. It is set in a fixed fee of dollars, and each transaction is 0.0% of a penny or whatever it is, based off of if you're doing smart contracts or if you're doing this or doing that or whatever the case may be. Understand what they're doing. Understand what a Hedera tokenization studio is. Understand why they have the CBDC sandbox and studio built on top of Hedera, because they're doing major things globally. And like, I know how for Maximus, his number one is XRP and QNT. My number one is QNT and Hedera HBAR, because they are making strategic moves globally and onboarding humongous partners building on top of them. So I'm gonna kick it back to you, brother.
Well, thank you for sharing your intel, oh, pun intended, because on the screen, in regards to your analysis. Appreciate that. We're going to now jump into this next part that's worth your time, to say the least. And let's pull this up. So, what else do we have? Well, let's kick it over to what was recently shared from Generation Infinity. Now, I have pointed them out before, especially when it comes to, what they share with XDC and so on. But look what is mentioned. USA crypto dominance, a new dawn. Policy shifts and strategic moves are fast tracking innovation. Dive into the network leading the charge in the United States. Of course, you see your HBARs, your XDCs, or I should say your XDCs, your XRPs, and so on. And it's, worth pointing out, honorable mention Algo, Link, Solana, XLM. But again, USA crypto dominance. Okay, so are we really on that dawn of US crypto dominance? Well, I think so. It was mentioned earlier from SoftBank that they feel as though that we're going to be entering into a golden age. Okay, well, look at this. This gets interesting because remember how we talked about SoftBank and Project Stargate 2025 entering into a golden age? Now that's from Japan. Well, what about their neighbors to the north? Yeah, South Korea. Hedera reshared this, okay, not that long ago. What was it, yesterday? Okay, so they point out that on Seoul Economic TV, a top 3 South Korean financial news publication, who covers Hedera's U.S. roots, the Canary Fund's HBAR ETF filing, they also point out the whole thing of the key role of RWAs on the network. I would play this for you guys, but again, it's just going to be all in Korean. Most of you guys don't speak Korean. Nothing against the Koreans, but it's not going to flow well. So yeah, it's in the captions, but where the case be, that is pretty awesome to see that recently on Seoul Economic TV. Moving further into this outline, I want to put some emphasis on some other key things. So back to tokenizer. BlackRock and HBAR ties have begun to show. I couldn't agree more. And what do you see here? Archax equals tokenization, of BlackRock MMF on Hedera. And if you wonder what MMF stands for, it doesn't stand for mother you know what, okay? It's a money market fund on Hedera. All right, so IIF, Hedera's only public DLT as a member, and Finos, Hedera only public DLT as a member. Now, don't forget about IIF. I'm going to show you guys a little snippet about that. But where I want to take you down to is like where we know about the whole thing of BlackRock being the world's largest asset management firm, but where it says with over 11 trillion in assets under management, they are undoubtedly a giant in the world of TradeFi. Now look at this. Let's scroll down to here. What you're going to see here is some key things in regards to Hedera and BlackRock. Isn't any, there is no formal official collaboration yet. And we know about the whole thing of BlackRock and Biddle, but the rails and pathways for Hedera to connect with the asset management giants beyond BlackRock, yes, I agree. They have already been established. Tokenization of financial markets and infrastructure has become a top priority. And I like the visual here. Hopefully it's big enough. Yes, it is. So you see in the illustration from Tokenizer how Hedera connects to things like the IIF, Archax, which I covered numerous times, and Finos. Now, I may do a more of a deeper dive into Finos in the future, but emphasis will be on IIF. So again, understand this, everybody. It's what's indirectly tied here to connect to the likes of your BlackRock. Understand that when we talk about the connectors, blockchain, well, in a way, this is kind of set up like a chain. And that link that you see here is IIF, little chinks in the chain, right? So just think about that for a moment, which brings us to this basic search from the IIF. What do they stand for? Institute of International Finance, association or trade group of the global financial services industry. It was created by 38 banks of leading industrialized countries back in 1983 in response to international debt crisis of the early 80s. Now, here's the thing I want to point out for you guys. So they're headquartered in Washington, D.C. And what I want to also point out to you guys is understanding this. For me, Channing mentioned the whole thing of Ripple XRP, and QNT being tied for my number ones, and he, his is obviously QNT and Hedera HBAR. Okay, well that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But the selling point for me was never, again, a retail focus for Ripple XRP. The selling point for me was on-demand liquidity. That product of Ripple XRP. Well, say what you want when we talk about the tokenization of debt, okay? Well, can Hedera be part of that mix? Well, obviously. How so? It's what's indirectly tied to them. Their plugs, their connectors. IIF is that plug and connector to what? BlackRock. So that's established. So again, you don't need to hear an official partnership of Hedera and BlackRock, which I will agree with Tokenizer that will eventually happen. But all you have to do is just jump more further into it, understand the connections. This is a huge connection. So with that said, we'll kick it back to Channing, and if anything, your thoughts in regards to Hedera tokenizing debt through connectors like the IIF.
Absolutely. You just think about, and I believe you've mentioned this before, even as far as like tokenizing securities and tokenizing bonds and things of that nature, being done on top of Hedera. Absolutely. And it's because they have, like I just said before, that fixed fee structure. So the entity like the IIF would come to them because they already know, as far as their balance sheets are concerned, or whatever the case may be, as far as their assets, blah, 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 how we want to go about tokenizing and when we want to go about tokenizing XYZ. Why would I go to a system that is going to be astronomical fees one day and borderline fees the next day? No, I want to go to something and partner with something that is trusted, that has already been integrated, like in things like the Blockchain Association, or the one coming out of Washington, D.C. Hedera is a part of it. You have things like the Saudi Aramco and the Chevron and the Exxon. Hedera is the only layer one a part of it. So the track record is there. So yes, I'm going to go to this entity that I know has a standing track record that can do this for fixed fees with less energy, because we already know energy is going to be a thing in the future. We already know this. They're already leaning towards it. Like carbon credits, don't like them, whatever the case may be, feel how you feel, but these things are being put in place. So understand that they have things away that the big boys can come and play and know exactly how to structure within their budgets so that they can do what they need to do to move into the future of digital finance. Absolutely, I believe that they are using and will use Hedera for those things as far as tokenization of debt. And when you do that, you make it what? Liquid, which means it can move and continuously move 365. No holidays, no weekends, buys and sales, orders coming in, whatever the case may be, it's moving. On demand liquidity. Absolutely. But go ahead, brother.
Well, listen, we're going to jump into this last part just to pound home a little more about the whole thing of BlackRock. So, this is pretty cool because this is recent. So, I want to share this with you guys. Again, full screen this. And not that long ago, okay? Just literally a few days ago, January 21st, 2025, from BlackRock. And it states that their 2025 global outlook is out now. We see mega forces like AI reshaping economies in real time. Come on, guys. Think about this for a moment, okay? Think about it. When we talk about the mega forces, who will be part of that group of mega forces? Again, understand that Hedera is taking shape. If anything, they already have the shape. They already lay down everything that they've done for many years now. It's taking us to the next level. So, investors can find opportunities by tapping into the transformation, of course, happening now. But this quote from Jean Boivin, who is the head of BlackRock Investment Institute, says, "This isn't a typical business cycle. We see mega forces driving a global economic transformation right now." Now, I want to point this out. I'm going to come back into the frame for just a moment. So, sometimes it feels as though that we're getting hints of things to come. And some people say that this is a coincidence. Now, hear me out when it comes to this. Again, emphasis back on the screen, just in case you missed it, about the whole thing of cycles. Okay, literally says it here. Now, we know when it comes to crypto, especially, we studied the 4-year cycles with Bitcoin. Well, with that reference, I mean, it's good to understand, like, there's bull markets, there are bear markets, but something that everybody who is invested into Hedera, the ISO coins like your XRPs and so on, is all understanding that when will we have a true utility run, and would that have its own cycle? Now, nobody, of course, knows for sure in that regard, but we kind of understand that with true utility, that would be the biggest driving force that would, let's face it, defeat Bitcoin dominance. And we've had tastes of that, especially with Ripple XRP. But where does Hedera, again, come into the mix? Because they definitely stand out when it comes to utility. As we jump further into this, I want you guys to, again, understand the terminology and the dates. So what you see here is January 21st. That being said, with that said, about Hedera AI, let's jump back to Tokenizer, because he does great research. So as you see here, he mentions specifically in one single collaboration, HBAR has went from not being mentioned in AI to capturing all the buzz. Again, this is why we put these outlines together for you guys to understand the grassroots, again, what was mentioned originally, of how it came all together. This is, of course, largely due to the scale of the partnerships that they were working with. And just in case you're new to this, NVIDIA has a $3.54 trillion market cap, and that means 88% of the GPU market. On top of that, Intel, 88 billion market cap with 78% of the CPU market. And basically speaking, there's more, but again, understand that when we blow this up, what do you see? Plain as day, you see these valuations. And there's EQTY Lab built on Hedera. And it's the whole thing of, like, man, Hedera Council, think about the governing council, what they're connected to. And we're not doing it, an outline on that today. But again, just some of the big players like your Googles. And, there's like even ones when it comes to aeronautics like Boeing. I mean, we could go on and on with this. But again, that's the most impressive governing council out there that I know of. So when you add up all these billions or $1 trillion market caps of these companies and just think, well, if Hedera just did even just a little bit of that, which I think they're going to do way more than just a little bit, then we get to some insane prices, to say the least, when it comes to this. And I think, if anything, it is truly a big deal, which says to me that this stuff has to have an incredibly high valuation. So, with that said, your closing thoughts about all of it being presented, Mr. Channing Harral.
It's like the thing that you had up about BlackRock and them saying exactly what they said about the mega forces. Look at that screen. That is the mega force of AI. NVIDIA. Think about what HBAR just did, right? With NVIDIA, they have the future, which is AI, right? With Intel, they have the current, which is the CPUs. That was absolutely brilliant. And to know that they are both utilizing Hedera for verifiable compute, which means as their AI entities start to throw transactions, it's going to be captured on Hedera so that it can be immutably read anywhere in the world and trusted. You said their slogan, which is built on Hedera. I promise you, just give it a few years. That is going to be literally a slogan that's just like when you think of a strip bandage, you say band-aid. When you think of polystyrene, you say styrofoam. When you think of things like, Oreo, you think of what Oreo is, that standard, that name brand. That is exactly what Hedera is doing. They are building themselves out to be a name brand. So when you think of certain things like AI, or when you think of blockchain or DLT or whatever the case may be, they're setting themselves up globally. Think about their governing council. They have a governing council member on every continent. Think about that. Why? A global network of nodes being ran. And that's actually an old list. It's actually even bigger than that now, brother. That's actually an older one. Yeah,
Oh, I know it is. I was just trying to pull up
yeah,
something
but
for you
no,
guys,
but,
but
but
yeah.
but that was perfect though. Like literally, globally, that governing council is global for a reason. They're saying that hey, it's not just one entity that's governing us. It is a global network of companies that are already brand names, trusting us and building on top of us. Built on Hedera is a thing that you can trust. Built on Hedera is a thing that you can rely on. Built on Hedera is the DLT you want to go with. What they're doing is incredible. Absolutely incredible. And it's not small entities. We're talking some of the biggest conglomerates and the top of what they are in their markets in the world. Think about what Hedera is doing and sit back over the next few years and watch it unfold. But I promise you, they're going to be just as big as when you think of DLT in America, especially because, if you have the American market, you have the world's market. That's why when you're famous in America, you're famous everywhere. But you have other stars that are famous in their countries, but American citizens have no idea who they are. You know, that's the reason why, because America is right now, at this point in time, the global stage. And that's the reason why things like crypto.com has a huge presence in America, because they know that if you have America, you have a global stage. Understand what Hedera is doing and understand that just that simple move between NVIDIA and Intel, the future and the current, capturing them. And now they have made global announcements that, hey, we're using this because, this is where you want to be if you need something verifiably computed in your systems, because the number one AI company in the world is doing it and they're happy with their services. It's trusted. Come on in, build on top of Hedera. Just mark my words, and we'll just see how this ages over time. But that's my thoughts, brother. Go ahead.
Well, everybody, we're going to wrap it up. Glad to do these collaborations, obviously, with Channing. We do Quant, we do Hedera, we do some other ones, XRP, which is pretty cool.
Crow.
And yeah, so with that said, you guys, Glad to bring it to you guys. Simply do us a solid if you listen to the entire outline and simply type this into the comments, and that is HBAR AI, and we'll know that you listened to the entire outline. On behalf of myself and Channing, as the saying goes, know what you have, know why you hold it. The research trumps FUD 110%. And you got something you want to tell everybody?
Y'all already know. Peace out.
Peace out, everybody. We'll see you on the next one. Hey guys, I just want to point out something real quick in regards to Uphold with you guys. A lot of you guys are familiar with Uphold or heard about it, but if you're brand new to all this and don't have an account, basically there's some benefits. It benefits me, it benefits you. This is a win-win. But one thing I want to point out to really pound it home with Uphold is, for example, XDC. As we know, with XDC, a lot of us have to jump through the hoops of like KuCoin, use a VPN to kind of get around things. This is American-based exchange with Uphold. You don't have to do that. You can get your XDC here, and yeah, not having to deal with that is a great thing. You could also get XRP here. Again, American-based exchange. There's a refer and earn. Bottom line is, if you deposit $100, I get 20, you get 20. It's a win-win for both of us. And of course, that's in BTC, but again, you can swap that to any of these particular altcoins. So check it out. Links are in the description if you would like to take advantage of the 20. And yeah, a win for both of us. How cool is that? Links in the description, both on the live and on the recorded. Thanks, guys. Over and out.